Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. I never know, as you know, those of you who follow me, I never know when we're live and when we're not live, but I think actually we are live. What is it? It is Monday evening here in New York City. I forgot for a minute where I was. I'm thinking, am I in Florida? But no, I'm actually in New York City. And it's been a fantastic day, a beautiful sunny day with lots and lots and lots of cool breezes. And my daughter and my grandson and we went to Central Park today, to the Central Park Zoo. A little bit disappointing in the children's pet center. Um, I was expecting rabbits and pigs and what else do you have in there? Guinea pigs and all sorts of. I was expecting all of that, and it was a little bit disappointing. And it was also disappointing because we couldn't feed any of the animals either. Reese really wanted to do that. Having said that, the penguin display was amazing. It was so funny. I don't know how many, dozens and dozens of penguins, all sort of waddling around, some of them swimming, some of them up on rocks. And some of them were so huge, so fat. It was amazing to see them in that habitat. You don't expect penguins in Central Park Zoo, do you? But anyway, they've always been there and they looked really healthy and really happy. And we loved seeing them. So we've had a really, really fun day. And then what else did we do? Oh, yes, I know what we did. We came home and for about the last 3 days, I've been promising my grandson Yorkshire puddings. And then he and I were watching a TV show a couple of days ago where it was Mary Berry and Paul Hollywood and all these fabulous British amateur chefs, and their task was to make a Yorkshire pudding. And I was so gratified because my grandson said to me, "They don't look like your Yorkshire puddings, Mosey," and they didn't, because either they were too flat, or they were too hard, or they were too raised with no hole in the middle. Anyway, I always do make delicious Yorkshire puddings. They never actually fail me. So there we have it. I don't know why, but you've got a knack or you don't have a knack. So I made Yorkshire puddings today, and so we had chilli, and Reese loves taking the Yorkshire puddings and putting spoons full of chilli in the Yorkshire pudding and just eating it just like that. So they were really delicious. And we had our dinner out in the garden because it was such a nice balmy night. It was still warm, but breezes again, and it was really lovely. So we've had a great day. That's my day. Chris, how are you doing today? What have you been up to today?
Well, Rosemary, after we had that wonderful day on Saturday where you give all those messages to everyone, it's been a day of playing catch up in the office with so many people wanting one-on-one consultations with you. The evidence that you gave them obviously was real enough that they want more.
Well, I have to say, I think, isn't that our second webinar with us just connecting with the spirit world? I think it's the second one that we've done, isn't it, Chris?
Yes.
And we thought the first one went well, and it really did. And we had so many comments from people. And as most of you who are listening here know, I've been a little under the weather recently. And so I've been conserving my energy specifically to make sure that, I was able to, sitting for 3 hours, and actually it turned out to be 3.5 hours. We gave everybody an extra half hour. So sitting for 3.5 hours and just talking to the spirit world continually over and over. I think I had a 10-minute break. I went into the kitchen, got myself a drink, came back out again and sat down, and I was raring to go again. It's it's not easy to sit. Anyone will know it's not easy to sit with barely a break that you can stretch your legs, and you're just sitting there and you're just working and working and working, talking to the spirit world and so on. And oh boy, I don't know. I mean, if anybody is listening in today who was at that event, um, maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I personally had a blast. And we've had, again, so many comments from people, so many people saying thank you, so many people being amazed at the quality of the messages. It's not just me saying, oh, I've got your mum here and I've got your brother and I can, it's not about that at all. It's about the details, and the details that those in the spirit world are able to give us, they're able to impart to us, the details, the information, and the wisdom that they have, the knowledge, the gentleness, the love and the kindness that shines through from them as we're communicating with them. Astounding. I felt, I can't say that it was better than the first one, just different, equally, both of them equally fantastic. And yes, it is true. I think when people actually see, I can't talk about other mediums, but when you see a medium who really is real and they know what they're doing, and the detail of what they tell you is so precise and so clear, and so on. When you see somebody like that working, and you're watching them and you're listening and you're paying attention, I think that it's so many people don't quite understand the depth that we go into, the information that we're able to impart, the wisdom. And when you watch a medium, a good medium, let's say a real medium, when you watch that and you see them interacting with the spirit world and you hear what they have to say, certainly for me, and I'm the one doing it. You'd think I'd be so used to it by now, wouldn't you? But I get so excited every single time. I've been doing this for lots and lots and lots of years. We're not going to go into how many years, but well over 40 years, I think. Yeah. And I mean, you would think that I'd become blasé by now, wouldn't you? You'd think I'd have heard everything, I'd have heard every question there is. But that isn't the case at all. And every single person you talk to is different. And every single person, they may have similar issues, they may have similar problems, but each of us handles our problems and our issues differently. And those in the spirit world, when they come to talk to us and they come to help us and guide us, it is, for me anyway, absolutely astounding to listen to all the information and to realize where it's coming from. Chris, what about you? I know that you said, I think after the webinar, you said to me, listening to all of this, I realize how lucky I am. But what is it? Because, if people have never experienced it, they've never seen a good medium working, or they've never experienced hearing from someone in the spirit world, how can we, can we possibly explain what happens? How can we help people to understand the incredible joy, the beauty of it? I mean, that's just, again, from my point of view. So, what was your thinking about all of this?
Well, for anyone who's in our chat room or who's listening, I mean, if you just stick with the basics, the facts, the foundations, Rosemary talks with, connects, communicates with those people that we think we've lost, we think are dead. We want some piece of evidence, some kind of message, something that touches our heart. And from my perspective, especially watching the faces of the people that came on screen with you, or minimally hearing their voice and the crack in their voice and the emotions in their voice, I know for certain that the message that you gave them really touched home and really made them grateful that they had that one little piece of information or confirmation or even intrigue for things that are coming.
Or the evidence also is overwhelming. Again, my take is the evidence to me seems to be overwhelming. You know, how could she possibly know this, and how did she know that, and so on. And I'm sure people are sort of bemused, even when somebody's getting a message, they're thinking to themselves, but how? Well, there's only one way. I'm talking to your mother, or I'm talking to your father, or I'm talking to somebody in the spirit world who knows you really, really well, and who loves you, and who is going to be very clear about what they're seeing with you, and how they can help you. Sorry, Chris, keep going.
Well, the other thing that also made me feel lucky is the type of people, Rosemary, that are in your chat room, that come see you for consultations, that show up for your webinars, that show up for your live events, are truly awesome people.
Yeah.
They are so supportive of each other in the chat room.
God.
So when one person's getting a message and it's clearly emotional, or it's clearly something they, suffered through, but you can see from the other side, how spirit world perceives it. And then to hear everybody in the chat room chime in and really rally behind the person going through what they're going through. It's a privilege.
The amazing support that everyone in the chat room gives to everybody else. It's really quite stunning, I feel. So, people are so unselfish in their needing to or wanting to give just a little bit of hope or a little bit of encouragement to someone who's having a tough time, or somebody who isn't quite sure what they're going to do. And let's face it, Chris, I'm not a pushover. I'm tough with people. If someone in the spirit world says, I want you to give tough love here, that's what I have to do, and I have no qualms about it. We always do it, hopefully, with a gentle touch. But sometimes we do have to be a little bit brutal with people when we're giving them, help, guidance, advice, because we all know we can be our own worst enemy, can't we? So it's so awful that we can be our own worst enemy. And those in the spirit world will say, don't think we can't see you do this or this, because guess what? I've been watching you and you've been doing so and so and such and such. And oh no. I remember, oh golly, I can remember so many years ago now when I first realized just how clearly those in the spirit world not only can see us, but they hear our thoughts. They hear what we say, but they also hear what we're saying in our mind, and they can hear every word. And I can remember actually climbing up onto the kitchen counter because I was cleaning out my wall cupboards and taking stuff down and washing the shelves and so on and so forth. And I don't know why, but I was not thinking very pleasant thoughts about a particular person. And all of a sudden, wait a minute. Oh no, wait. I didn't mean, I know I should be nicer. I didn't mean to say that. And these were just thoughts that were going on in my head. But boy, oh boy, our show on Thursdays is, we call it The Spirit World Sees All. Well, they see all and they hear all, they know all about us. So there's no hiding from them at all. So sometimes, when we get messages from the spirit world, they're not all sweet and loving and kind and gentle. Sometimes it can be a little bit brutal if we need them to be brutal with us. You need to get off your bum and get going. I think I had to say that 2 or 3 times to people on Saturday. But anyway, back to you, Chris. Keep going. There's some more.
Well, 808 Christina's on, and they were at the webinar.
Who is this?
808 Christina.
Okay, yes.
And says, thank you so much, Rosemary. I got to hear from my dad on Saturday because of you, and I'm forever grateful. Maybe I'll join the next one, he. Once you get a reading, you want more.
Well, okay, I'm going to correct you, Christina, because I don't do readings. Those of you who know me really well know that I don't do readings. A reading implies that I'm reading you, or I'm reading your mind, or I don't know what it is I'm supposed to be reading. When you come to see me, uh, we have consultations. I will consult with your loved ones in the spirit world, and they will tell me things, and they will impart things to me, and we'll have this conversation. I don't do it any other way. I'm not a person, Christina, you know, because you saw it on Saturday, right? I'm not a person who will say, "Oh, I'm sensing this," or "I'm feeling this." No, 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 no. I don't do that. I'm going to see someone in the spirit world. I'm going to tell you who I see or what I see. And then I'm going to say to you, okay, and I'm listening to the person in the spirit world, and they're telling me different things. And then I'm recounting what they're saying to me to all of you. And Christina, I remember your father. I think I remember absolutely that he came in there. Uh, Hell bent on, I should say, hell bent on, wait a minute here, hold on, I'm doing this. I think he might have been a little bit nervous that we would leave him out. And there was no way he was going to, let us do that, right? And that tells me how important it was for him to talk to you. And it tells me how important it was, Gregel allowed him to come in there because nobody can get in unless Gregel says so. But Gregel obviously allowed him in and obviously said to him, "You're up. It's your turn. You're up." And bang, did he come in. So afraid that he wasn't going to have time to say everything he wanted to say. Of course, we could spend several hours just with one person. The spirit world are not going to be able to say everything they want to say. It takes time and so on. And maybe if you come to the next one, Christina, your dad might say more to you, or who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But we had so much fun. Okay, Chris.
So Chris on the chat has 3 different messages. So one was, I was blessed with a message from my daddy-o during the May 8th webinar, and I was hoping everyone at last Saturday's webinar thoroughly enjoyed themselves. I'm so excited for the booked consultation my 88-year-old mom and I have in September. And back when you were talking about Yorkshire pudding, they had written, it took me literally decades to find the perfect Yorkshire pudding. No fail recipe. I now do what's called a Yorkie bowl that's plate sized and filled with prime rib roast potatoes, and carrots and gravy. Yum.
Well, that's a typical, actually, it's a typical Yorkshire way of eating Yorkshire pudding. There's so many different ways of eating Yorkshire pudding, let me tell you. Some people have it with gravy as an appetizer. Some people fill it with the ground beef or whatever. Again, as an appetizer, it seems to me to be a huge appetizer. Some people, as we did when I was growing up, we would have a Yorkshire pudding sort of stuck on the top of your plate with your roast beef and your vegetables and your mashed potatoes and your roast potatoes. Yes, we had all of that stuff. So some people eat it there. And believe it or not, and I have done this from time to time, some people actually have Yorkshire pudding as a dessert, spread a bit of jam on it, or put some powdered sugar over it, or whatever, however you want to do it. Very versatile it is, and it is delicious. And I do think that mine is no fail Yorkshire pudding. Anyway, Chris, forget the Yorkshire pudding. Let's get back to it.
Well, Rosemary, I'm not getting any more comments about Saturday, but since this is off the cuff,
yes,
and people can ask any question they want of you, basically.
Absolutely.
I'm having some different questions.
We can talk about anything we feel like, right?
Yes. So first off, Maggie's was asking about how Saturday was and is glad everything went well.
Oh, thanks, Maggie.
Lewis is on saying good day from Arizona and blessings.
Oh, whereabouts in Arizona? One of my favorite places.
Then Adrian's asking, were dinosaurs real? Why are they not talked about in the Bible? We completely went different, but hey, are dinosaur bones in Arizona, as I recall?
I do actually quite like this question. I'm going to tell you why I quite like this question, because my grandson, my 8-year-old grandson, asked me that exact question a couple of days ago. Well, science tells us, and the evidence all around the world of dinosaurs existing. I mean, there's so much overwhelming evidence that dinosaurs exist. It's not something I've really contemplated until my grandson asked me a couple of days ago. I think dinosaurs came way before the Bible. I think they came way before, let's say real civilization. If you think I'm wrong, go ahead, let me know. But I think that dinosaurs were way, 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 way back. My grandson and I, we have this thing. We do quizzes. So I'll say to him, okay, in the olden days, now the olden days is when Mosey was young, that I'm Mosey. In the very olden days, I might qualify for that as well, but in the very olden days was Victorian times. In the really, really ancient olden days, we're talking about the Iron Age, the Stone Age, and we do quizzes and we have all these interesting quizzes, and he learns so much and he's so fascinated by what he perceives as the olden days, which is when I was a little girl. So it's depends on your point of view of what the olden days were. But I think the dinosaurs were here like way before true civilization even came about on this earth. Go, Chris.
Karen's saying, I loved the webinar. Catherine's saying, hello from Beacon, New York.
Hi, I'm in New York too. Don't know where Beacon, New York is, but.
Claire is saying hello again.
Hi, hello.
And Peace is asking a question.
Who is?
Peace.
Okay, yeah.
It is so scary trusting love again after heartbreak. I wish the departed would tell us what to do.
Well, Peace, they often do. They often do tell us. They often give us help and they give us guidance. And I mean, one of the most important situations that we have, any of us human beings, it's all about relationships, isn't it? Not necessarily love relationships, not necessarily husband, wife, or girlfriend, boyfriend, but relationships of just about any kind. You think my grandson and I have an amazing relationship. My daughter and I have an amazing relationship. The relationships that we have that are so important to us and make all the difference in our lives. When things are going right, they're great. When things are not going so right, what do we do? And the spirit world, and it is my experience that when people come to me for a consultation, it's my experience that, they are the most helpful in those situations where, we're not sure of a relationship, or we're not sure of how we should, be involved in a relationship, what we should do in a relationship. And, I'm thinking of soul signs, Chris. I mean, I don't know if you were thinking of soul signs, but that my book, Soul Signs, which you can get, if you want to know where you can get it, email Chris, Kris, at rosemaryaltea.com, or simply go to Lulu. You can find it on Lulu. And we republished Soul Signs sort of almost as a workbook. We put pages in there so you could use it as a workbook. And at some point in the future, we're definitely going to have webinars, 2 or 3 webinars perhaps, talking about soul signs and talking about energy and talking about the earth elements and how they affect us, and how we can better our relationships, or even the relationships that we're never going to have great relationships. How, why is that? And it's a way of understanding what is going on in our lives. So please don't think that the spirit world can't help you with anything and everything, because really and truly they absolutely can. Chris.
Marlene says Saturday was amazing. Rhonda says Saturday was wonderful. The message you had to me was spot on, and I appreciate so much. So thank you, Rosemary.
You're so welcome, all of you who joined in the webinar. We had such a great time. It's hard for me, of course, at the end of it. I mean, we were going for 3.5 hours, and then after you all, we kicked you all off. Chris and I had another half an hour's work to deal with before either of us could take a break. So it was a sort of 4 hours of solid working, right, Chris? And you know, it's joyful. I mean, it's just such a joyful thing that we do, and such a great opportunity. And I know absolutely, without one iota of doubt in my mind, that I, over every other person on this planet, I might say, I have the best job in the world. The best job in the world. Can you imagine that? Being able to say that? I love every minute of what I do. I love every aspect of what I do. And I'm so grateful to all of you who join in with us. And I'm so grateful to Chris for I mean, she enables me to do what I do best, which is, you know, we always need support, don't we? We always need a team, and we always need support, because no one man stands on the stage, you know, alone. No, you know, you see these movie stars and pop stars who think that there's something, but believe you me, if you don't understand that you're only on that stage because somebody else produced that stage for you, somebody else built it, somebody else put the nails in the wood, somebody else hammered the nails in the wood. In other words, somebody else or other people, not just maybe one somebody, but many somebodies, have helped to create that platform that we can stand on. And we, all of us, those of us who do stand on a platform, in my opinion, we should always value those people who build that platform for us. Chris.
Well, if you have the best job in the world, that means I have the second best job in the world, right?
Yeah, no.
Well, Matthew's on. He says, hi, Rosemary. Thank you for all you do. And I'm still seeing my orbs.
Oh, right. Good. Well, good. Are you understanding them, though? It's all very well seeing them, Matthew. Are you understanding them? Is it any clearer why you're seeing them? Why are they there? Oh, golly. See, now I've really set you off, haven't I? Now I've started you questioning, which, of course, is always a good thing. Chris.
Karen says, I love watching you do your consultations. I enjoyed the morning so much. Everyone should have a private consultation with you. You and Gray Eagle are so spot on with my appointment. I think she means we're so spot on with my appointment. I am the one with the moldy house under construction, and you found all the issues that the workers didn't know about. You have a beautiful gift.
Oh, Karen. Yeah. Oh, golly, I do remember that. I think, Karen, we can have a little conversation, you and I. You let me know if you think I'm right. I think you might have been a little bit horrified as to what I could see, although impressed, I'm sure, and amazed. But I was able to describe and to draw what was going on with your house. And I think that I saw things that you were not even aware of. And it was bad enough as it was, wasn't it? I mean, you didn't need me to tell you that there were more problems or worse problems, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed that you got them sorted out. And yes, it was. I loved that. I loved talking to you. You're a lovely person, and I loved the way that your loved ones in the spirit world were able to describe to me. I mean, we went down deep under your house, didn't we? And into the rock and all of that stuff. And how do we do that? Karen, how did I do that? Well, oh, I must be psychic. I must be able to see these things. And also, of course, I've got Grey Eagle who's able to describe things to me. And also, on top of all of that, being able to see things, being able to talk to your family members in the spirit world, having Grey Eagle describe it all, there are these moments that I get to actually, it's hard to describe this, move down and back and go through the hole. In other words, move through time and space. It takes me this amount of time to travel back to, or to travel to a place, Karen, as in traveling to that place underneath your house, to really feel it, to see it, and to be able to touch it, and to get a really, really solid sense of what was actually going on with you. And I do hope it helped. I do hope that the advice given to you was helpful. Can you let us know? Because people are wondering what on earth I'm talking about here, aren't they? Anyway,
Well,
Chris.
Karen is responding. She's agreeing with you. She said it was really bad. It is getting cleaned up, and you're amazing.
I think when you say it's really bad, I think you mean your property was really bad. Not that I was really bad, but yes, and this is the thing, you see, I think people don't realize this. I've already said I've been doing this for 40 years or something anyway. And I know I don't look that old. I know you don't I know all. But okay, I've been doing it for all of this time, and you would think that I had become blasé about it all. You would think that there are never any new questions. You think that every question or every situation or every loss, every time somebody loses someone in the spirit world, every time we suffer a loss, you'd think that after a while it all becomes same old, right? But actually what happens, and this is what happened when I was talking with Karen and going into the house and going under the underground under the house, it is exciting to me. I get so excited that we're able to do it, and it's so I don't get bored in any regard. And even if some of the questions are the same, the people who ask the questions are different. The people in the spirit world who answer the questions, they're different. So you're getting lots of different personalities and lots of different things going on. So it's the excitement of what I do, I think is unbelievable. It drives me forward. And Chris, I'm not going to speak for you. I think you get excited as well, but why don't you say whether you do or whether you don't?
Two things here. So Maggie's saying, hearing you and your excitement about everything lifts me. What I can say is Saturday was 7 weeks to the day my husband suddenly passed away, unexpectedly passed away. So anybody who doesn't know that, I'm just giving that for context, not for anybody to say, woe is me type of deal.
You're talking about you, Chris, not Maggie.
Yes, I'm talking about me. So on Saturday, when I could hear the different stories that people came to us with, and I heard the responses from their loved ones in the spirit world or from Grey Eagle, my heart was lifted for them. So it's such an inspirational, such a hopeful, such an uplifting experience to be in that for 3 hours, immersed in that for more than 3 hours, actually. So yes, I absolutely do get excited about it. I love it. I can't imagine life without it.
And also, I think, Chris, I know that you had faith, tremendous faith before your husband died. I know that before Mike died, there was no doubt, there was no question in your mind that, we survived death. But when it happens to you, it's a whole different thing. And it's easy to have faith until that faith is tested. And living your faith and living through your faith and using your faith to get through every day, it's not an easy thing to do. And I know that you struggle with it daily. And I know that you miss Mike hourly. I was going to say daily, but hourly. And you know, you're in so many ways one of the lucky ones, because you've got me to tell you. And yes, once again, Mike is here, Chris. And yes, once again, he is listening. But he was there for you on Saturday, because when we planned to do these webinars, Mike was going to be that person in the background helping you, Chris, with all of your stuff. And he may not have been there physically, but boy, did he ever let us know that he was there in every other way, to help you, to guide you, and to steer you. And I do believe that it was you had a relatively easy time in the background there, making everything work and sorting everything out for us all.
Well, it was interesting because on many of our webinars in the past, we've had 2 or 3 other people helping me in the background, right? And this is the first one that we've done with just you and I. And I think you were a little bit concerned for me knowing what's been happening in my life.
Yeah.
And whether we could pull this off for everyone. And I have to say, from my end, it was so unbelievably smooth. You know, for the people listening, there were some, let's call them quirks. There were some interesting quirks that happened during the webinar. So I have all kinds of buttons that I have to press and move to move people into either be able to speak with Rosemary live, or to move them from speaking to going on camera. And then you sort of have to reverse the process and get them back into the regular chat room and bring in the next person. So, you know, it's going really smoothly. And then suddenly this, let's call it a quirk, happens. And all of a sudden I've moved 2 people at the same time, which in any other circumstance you couldn't do. And suddenly I have 2 people ready to speak to Rosemary or to come on camera. And your first instinct is like, oops, what the heck happened? But then you realize, especially after working with Rosemary all these years, that that's being orchestrated by the spirit world. They're basically saying, this is the next person in line. And that's how we rolled.
Yeah.
So that was interesting too.
And also, I remember I started to give a message to a lady that we did have. I do believe she was on camera. I'm not 100% sure, but I started giving a message to that person. And then the next thing, Gregor is saying to me, no, you're going to have to talk to that guy over there as well, who I knew did not belong to this person I was giving a message to. And it was a man who had died so very tragically, and he was determined to talk to his wife, and he was determined to talk to his family. And it was almost as if, you know, it's like you're having a conversation with somebody and then somebody comes along and interrupts. Excuse me, could I have a word with you when you've got a minute? And you say yes. Well, that's what it was like. Excuse me, when you've done with this one, I'm here. And, you know, so you never quite know what's going to happen. And I had to say in the webinar, you know, that I'd got this man who fell from a great height. I wasn't sure what it was, from a cliff face, or but as if it'd fallen from a cliff face. Not that I saw the cliff face, but I just saw this falling from a great height. And I actually just said, if anybody in the webinar is listening to what I'm saying and you think that that is connected to you, could you let us know? And sure enough, there she was, this wonderful lady who was desperate to hear from her husband, who had had this awful fall. And so you know, we always say, we try to look as if we're in control, but we're absolutely not in control for one little bit, really, are we, Chris?
Well, that is the kind of funny thing about it, because you and I are both earth signs and we like to be in control. We like to have a plan. We like to know what's coming up next.
Yeah.
And obviously we can have the foundation for how things are going to work, but then we have to roll with whatever happens. It's so funny when you think about it, really.
Yeah. Really neat, though, I think.
Yeah.
Let's have some more comments and questions, Chris.
Well, Barb got on and she said, just got on. Please share your thoughts and highlights from Saturday. I was with you for your first, and so many, I'm sure, are blessed with your messages. So hopefully, Barb, you just heard some of what we've been talking about since we got on here about 40 minutes ago.
We honestly really did have a spectacular day. I think that so many people who were at the webinar, and you know, we've had so many people responding. The majority of people who've attended have responded with just really, you know, joy and excitement, and just thrilled to bits with the way that it worked and the way that they have received their messages. So that's great. Okay.
Rhonda says, I wish I could share the peace that you have given to me over the months since I've met you. It was so awesome how it came about that your book, The Eagle and the Rose, was in an antique store, and I bought it not knowing who you were. Everything happens for a reason. I was in such a bad place, and now I'm in the light again.
I'm laughing about the fact that the Eagle and the Rose was in an antique store. It is 25th anniversary this year of the first publication of the Eagle and the Rose, and throughout the month of May, which was when the book was actually published, we had such an amazing month, didn't we, Chris? Exhausting, tiring.
Boy, were we busy.
But so much fun. I'm going to just break off for a second. Did you mind?
Where do you want him to sleep?
I don't mind.
But you didn't sleep very well in that bed last night.
I don't mind. Any way you like. It's fine. Sorry, my daughter's sorting out my grandson. So anyway, go ahead, Chris.
All right. So Christina says, speaking of traveling, how far back did you ever travel? Meaning astral travel.
I gathered that. Oh my golly. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. I've been at least a century or two. I had an experience in Victorian England where I was, you know, and those of you who've read The Eagle and the Rose will have read that story. So we're talking at least 100 years ago for that. I remembered a very good friend of mine was doing her, what is it called? You know, sort of ancestral stuff. She was looking up all of her ancestors. She was doing her
genealogy.
Yes, whatever that was. The tree. What is that tree? Anyway, so she was sorting out all of her ancestors, and she and her family had come from this area. Maybe sometime she could go as far back as 15 something or another, and she could trace some of the headstones in some of the really old churches, and she sort of was really into it, as you can imagine, just out for curiosity. And one day she came to me and she said, you know, Rosemary, I've traced this one particular person, and I think this particular person came somewhere from the 17th or 18th century. And she said, I really would like to know more about this person, and I can only go back so far, and I can't quite go back any further. So, well, with the help of Grey Eagle and with the help of her family, we went back quite a few generations. And the interesting thing was that she took notes. The interesting thing was that she was able to verify so much of what had been said, so much so that the stuff that she wasn't able to verify, she took as absolute truth, because she could verify so much of it that, but just needing to be able to, you know, have little clues as to where she should go to next, and the name of the next person, or the name of the grandfather, or the great grandfather that nobody seemed to remember his name, and so on. And so using the information she got from me, she was able to go to the church records and find out even more about her ancestors. So so we can go back as far as we need to go back.
Chris says, I think something similar happened at my webinar. Someone from the spirit world jumped the queue, and you weren't thrilled with them at all as they were being a bit naughty.
Well, Chris, just because it happens doesn't necessarily mean I like it, does it? It's don't necessarily have to like it or understand it. But it is what it is, and we can usually sort things out. We do have the odd person who won't listen to the instructions, who won't, we say to people, if you've got a question, go into the Q&A, not the chat room. But we get people who do, they either don't listen or they think I'm going to do it my way or whatever it is. And so we do get people from time to time who don't necessarily follow the rules, but we know how to deal with those people. And I think also we have to remember that, when people come to a webinar such as this, I think we're all, everybody, of course, everybody wants a message, and not everybody gets a message. Although I think that if you listen very carefully to the messages that other people get, you are getting a message, whether it's directly to you or whether it's vicariously through somebody else. That there are so many messages of wisdom, of hope, of inspiration, and we can all find something from that. But I think sometimes people get a little bit too eager, or they're naughty. They tend to jump the queue. If they can see a little spot where they can get in, they will do so. And we just deal with it. We understand. We do understand. We're human after all, aren't we? And if we see a way to get something that we think we might not be getting unless we're pushy, then sometimes people do that. Chris.
Maggie says, I've been doing my family tree. One side has Chief Topinabe, and the other side, Robert the Bruce and Bonnie Prince Charlie.
Oh, right. You're a bit there in the north and in Scotland then. Oh, interesting, Maggie. Who knew you had a little bit of British in you?
And interestingly enough, there are no more questions at this point.
Oh, wow. Well, that's it then. Are we done then? I've no idea what the time is, Chris. We do have to say...
You've been on for almost 50 minutes.
Pardon?
You've been on for almost 50 minutes.
Oh, well, we're nearly done then anyway, so that's pretty good. But we do have to say, if you don't participate with us, then we're willing to have an early night, right, Chris? So, is there anybody else with a question or a comment here?
Chris says, I've been watching your Everything is Attitude segments with Al. I highly recommend them to your fans.
Oh, Chris, thank you so much. We thought about doing them again and again. What is going to happen here is that Chris and I were talking about it this morning. Chris has had her, really, really difficult and still going through a very difficult time. She's here for you regardless. You do all know that, don't you? It's amazing what she's doing. She's here for you all regardless. And in being here for you, I'm pretty sure it helps her too. I'm here in New York at the moment. I think I already said we were at the zoo today, and we went to the Bronx Zoo a few days ago. So I'm spending time with my family. We're still working, still doing stuff, but it's summertime, so people aren't always available. This is when people go off somewhere, or they go traveling, or it's family time, or whatever. But when I get back to Florida, which will be sometime in early September, Chris and I are going to sit down and we're going to make plans for the rest of the year. We're already booking consultations in January, I think. But we're going to sort of sit down and sort out what it is that we're going to do and the other webinars that we're going to have. We are having another webinar for those of you who are interested. We are going to be doing our, connection with the spirit world, just like we did last Saturday. We're probably going to do one once a month to 6 weeks. So if you missed the last one, the next one I think is on the 21st of August, right, Chris?
It is, and I can put the link in the chat room.
There you are. So if you're interested in joining us for that, or if you're interested in wanting to know whatever it is, we have so many questions in the webinar. We've had so many questions on our Thursday show. People wanting to know, how can I become a healer? What can I do to become a student of yours? And a lot of our teachings that we're going to be doing now are going to be done through the webinars. A lot of you want to know, because I did do weekly classes with my students, which we definitely have put on hold right now. We're going to be doing our monthly stuff. We're going to be doing much more monthly stuff. And believe it or not, when I get back in September, I know some of you are going to be really excited about this. I'm going to be doing more cooking, everybody. I'm going to be actually teaching my daughter's neighbor how to make, what did he call them? Chicken cutlets, or anyway, or if you want to know how to make Venus schnitzel. I know a lot of you don't eat veal, so but we can use chicken instead of the veal, so we can do it that way. So, and what do you do with them when you've made them anyway? What can you do with them? Because there are a variety of different ways that you can use these things. So come September, we're going to be doing a little bit more of that. Chris, final time, are there any other comments or questions?
We've got 3 of them. So Karen's asking, do you think your grandson will use his gift in the future like you do?
Oh, yes. Without a doubt. And I don't know if any of you know, but we did mention it. My daughter finally is coming on board with us, and she has her own qualifications in her own right. She's an amazing let's say the advice that she gives, she's been doing this for a long time now. She's been helping couples. I'm not going to use the word therapy because she doesn't like me to use the word therapy, but it's not just couples therapy, it's life guidance, life help. If you've got an issue with work, or if you've got an issue with whatever it is that you've got an issue with, she's going to be joining the team. We're going to be talking about that in our upcoming newsletter, which you'll be getting on the 1st or early part of August. And we'll be talking about what Samantha's going to be doing, and she'll be available for some of you if you want to connect with her and talk with her. It's taken me years and years. I thought she would never come on board, but I've not pushed her, I've not forced it. And just all of a sudden the other day, she'd said, I'd like to do that. And she's brilliant at what she does. So if you don't get the newsletter, and some of you are thinking, what's the newsletter? What's going on with the newsletter? You do need to subscribe. So you can either go to the website, rosemaryaltea.com, and there's a little subscribe button, and all you do is you click it. It doesn't cost you anything. We will not inundate you with emails every day. You might get 3 or 4 a month, something like that, and that's pretty much it. Letting you know what we're doing, what we're up to. You'll be the insiders. You'll be the first people. Those of you who subscribe will be the first people to know what's going on, and the first people to know our event schedule and so on and so forth. So I would advise you, if you want to keep up with us, do subscribe. And it's very easy to do. And so you said you've got another couple of questions, Chris?
Well, yeah, some comments. Marlene says, on Saturday, when you helped connect the lady with her son who had passed from suicide, it was unforgettable. Just to see her face lose the pain she carried around every day was very emotional. I will never forget it.
It was pretty awesome, wasn't it?
And then Chris,
No,
oh, sorry.
can I just say that there are so many people who misunderstand what happens with suicides, and I think we are going to maybe in the future have a webinar devoted to that subject and talk who has lost somebody in that way, because I think there's so many misconceptions about it, and there are so many people who will tell you, and there are so many, I'm using the word religion now carefully, there are so many religious belief systems who believe that that you shouldn't be buried on consecrated ground. If you take your own life, it's a sin against God, and so on and so forth. I personally think that anybody who tells you that is creating, by telling you that, is creating a sin against not just God, but against mankind and against the families of these people who suffer tremendously from all of this. So I think that there are a lot of misconceptions about suicide, and I think that the young man who was able to talk to his mother and to tell his mother what had happened and why it had happened, and he explained what was going on, and I think it was very cathartic, not just for the parents, but it was for all of us who were listening. It was an amazing message. Chris.
And then Chris said, I needed to, so they're talking about the Everything is Attitude show. I needed to see the one with respecting and giving space to new teachers as I'm returning to school in September. At 58, I know I was going to the I Know All This place. It was a great segment.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. And I would, yes. Thank you, Chris, for mentioning it, because I would advise anybody and everybody to go into our YouTube channel and to see, because we have our Everything is Attitude. We have Healing Hands Around the World. We have cooking, of course. We have so many things that you can go into and take a look at, and really sort of, it's fascinating. It's isn't this the greatest subject ever? There are so many different facets to it. I'm laughing because cooking isn't really so, but it is because it's me, you see. So I am the cook. My daughter actually did say to somebody today, we had somebody over for dinner, and she did say, it was the Yorkshire pudding thing, my mum is the best cook. So yeah, it's good. That's good. That's good to hear. Oh, anyway, Chris, carry on.
Well, I think that pretty much sums it up. People are agreeing with you. They love your cooking in the kitchen.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us in our Off the Cuff. I'd like to say thank you to Grey Eagle, who has been by my side this whole time. I think I might have forgotten to say that. Sorry about that. Chris, thank you so much, because you give your time and your effort and your energy as we do, and thank you all of you for joining us. We really hope that you've enjoyed our Off the Cuff. We're going to be doing much more of them once we get our heads in gear and get ourselves sorted out, and so thank you so much. Please, all of you, have a very, very, very blessed rest of the day. We'll see you next time. When is next time? Where are
Thursday at 11 a.m.
Thursday, but we may be doing an Off the Cuff before Thursday. Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next Saturday is our story time again, and we'll be doing bits and pieces in between. So watch for us. We'll be popping in and out of your lives as and when. Thank you so really for joining us. Please have a very blessed rest of the day, wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.